Ah, there we go. Maybe. Ooh, okay. Need to mess with the ow, the sound settings on. There we go. Yeah. Ow. Ah, it's gonna be all day with my eye. I'm telling you. All right. We got some research development materials. Okay. Um. No confiscate contraband from crew. Lower those down. Okay. Contraband. Sorry, I was getting uh, technical support from my friend. All right. All right. We still have quite a lot of these to go. We're going back up to here is where we're trying to get. So because we're 6 through. Oop. All right. Jeez. It's got a bunch of returns too. I'm assuming this is a bunch. I don't care. Oh, you can sell multiple copies of the same colonists. Alright, there we go. See, what was the special Admiralty random one-use Admiralty ship random? Okay. Uncommon R&D. What's the purpose? Okay, yeah. So this is what I was thinking, is that most of the boxes you get are R&D materials. I did actually reach my 5,000, my 8,000. You know, oh, actually got a board component. Okay, I've been trying really hard to eat through all of my contraband as of late. How are we doing on roster? Okay, roster's really low, that's fine. I'm gonna pay a bit more attention to my Klingons today. Get them all out in the on the map to raid. Uh, 84. Yeah, we can probably get a skip from that one. $99 on that one. I don't want to like just sit here and explain over and over again how to successfully dilithium farm with your side ships. I guess also depends a lot on how many characters you have. If you have fewer characters, you of course want to max out their dilithium every day. I've more built my account for dilithium farming without spending a lot of time doing it compared to what you get. Alright, I'm not being super boop 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 methodical with most of my ships. Once I kind of cold, well, and it is like a blizzard outside, so that makes sense that I'm cold. Is my model just completely drop off? That's kind of amazing, actually. Oh, it's really small is the problem. Interesting. I just literally zipped myself into a onesie. And then put in an oversized bathrobe. Yeah, damn it. There we go. And so I just realized why I can't see anything is because I don't have glasses. Oh no. Oh, we're actually moving. Oh, we sold some manuals too. Alright, there we go. Ooh. Oof, I wonder how much not dilithium, platinum most of these people have. That's an interesting question. What dis? Okay, I'll go fix that in a second. I'm a little disappointed by that, actually. Amps can't contraband from crew, yay. Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, we can just delete one of these shit. Yeah, like this one. I'll just hold my, yeah. There we go. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I should have made sure that one criticaled, but it's fine. Alright, so back to it. Alright, that one's 52. 60, yeah, 88, there we go. That's kind of low. There we go, 90. Okay, this one's 9 out of 10, so we're getting pretty close to the big payoff. And which means we need to absolutely... There we go, 99%. Oh, 5 out of 10 on here, okay. Okay, I don't know where the Romulan ones are. Oh, just a special item, right? Okay. Almanos, Almanos. Get the sniffles. Okay. Oh no. Okay. How many we got? Oh, okay, it moves relatively, well. What do we have in our inventory? Okay, we do not have, uh, oh, can you, no, okay, they didn't add the ability to, yeah, but, delete selected thing probably does work better. Doesn't have the delay. Okay. We're at 1,000, is a little low. A million gold pressed platinum. What do you even use? Gold pressed. I need to go check that out later on what you use gold pressed platinum for. Right, re-engineering. Right, I keep forgetting that's a thing too. My science officer has all the prisoners, of course. Alright, so we just need to knock a few of these out. Yeah, these should all be 100. As they're... oh, wait, okay. Well, no, 50 should be relatively easy to do, too. 200, maybe not so much. Okay, I need a tactical. And a science, there we go, 100%. Whoa, what? Oh, what's up with this thing? Like, what's the story here for it being so hard to fill out? There's 9 out of 10. We're close on this one too. All right, so yeah, nothing particularly interesting here. We are almost through my Federation characters. Well, the 65 ones anyway. Alright, close. Oh, actually, I'm surprised we don't have a bunch of mail here. Okay. 20. Wow, okay, I spent a lot of time doing this one, apparently. No, go away. Oh, okay, we are into overflow with somebody, probably either prisoners or... we're in stopped. Brain fart. Colonists. We'll go check here in a second. Count bank. Yeah, we're a million platinum on this character too, with some salvage. Yo, okay, there's a lot of both. Okay, we're gonna go sell. Okay, let me go actually go check to make sure that I'm not going to put them up for too much. And, like, it doesn't matter, they'll sell eventually. That is not what I meant to do. 25. Okay, they went down a bit, that's fine. So this should be right around a quarter of a, 200, yeah, right around a half a million energy credits. All right. All right. Let's see. 7. Wow, there's the. It's right there. Nice. Okay. And this one's pretty low. Just yeah, yeah, engineering right there. All right, this one's pretty good, pretty low also. 99, close enough. Okay, Klingons. Can't see it yet, but we're gonna breeze right through it. No, 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 no. We need a small, yeah, big. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Oof. Okay, this one's a lot of science. Again, I need a lot of science. Alright, well, that's all for that one. How much do we get on the dilithium? Okay, we filled the 8,000. Okay, now these, I'm pretty sure all the way up to here? Is this Federation? Or, yeah, these are all Klingon. Okay. Yeah, so there are 8 of these in total. Now I'm just waiting for the burp. Oh, there it is. That was quick. Okay. Not now. Okay, fine, join, dipshit. We'll get to you. Okay, so, like, it's gonna be a little more methodical with my Klingons at the moment. I guess I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I'm just absolutely, overflowing with a lot of these. Create manual. Oh, which, actually, as a side note, means that I'm overflowing with, candidates, too. Alright, 1 second. Right, that was nothing from a Dilithium standpoint. We need to go to the ships too, but we can go ahead and do Admiralty. Oh, we're not actually done completely with Admiralty on this character. Oh, actually 1 second then, Admiralty. Okay, level 3 in 2 campaigns. Level 2 in 5. Okay, so we're actually going to do the Romulan one at the moment. That probably means I don't have a ton. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of ships. Yeah, which I'll go fix that when I'm in the uh, ship place. I don't know. I'm dumb at the moment. You're gonna have to excuse me. Confiscate contraband from crew. Uh, access bank. Bank. Alright, 1 second. Exchange, baby. Okay, so, the brick is actually pretty clear. Um, I'm an idiot. I set the noise gate incorrectly. Thank you for that, that heads up. I was trying to get rid of this slight buzzing noise earlier, which I don't think I've gotten rid of, and I wonked up the settings. Thanks for that. Dawn, give me 1 second. I will see if I can let you out. I'm very sorry that your doggy daddy has put you in here. But I have to make sure that you're not in here for a reason to keep you out of stuff while they're working on the house. Okay? 1 second. I have to go. I have to go make sure that my doggo niece here is good to be let out of your bag. Yeah, extra layer tech there, exactly. There we go. Doggo is out playing in the snow. Well, okay, so the thing is like, I love. I don't think I think I just got the doggo in trouble. Ow, my neck. I love playing STO, and I really actually like streaming STO. But the thing is like, for lack of a better word, I don't actually play the game the way it's supposed to be for the most part. I spend a lot of my time playing with like the systems inside the game, the Admiralty system, the market, stuff like that. So all of my STO streams inevitably turn into like just chatting streams with STO in the background. But I do actually go and play, missions and whatnot also, but especially right now because I've neglected a lot of that stuff as of late. Like, I am completely backed up on like a lot of my market stuff. I do what I do in like 90% of the MMOs, and I have turned the game into a That's really good, actually. Yeah, the fleet invites the fleet invites are like indicative of both why I'm frustrated with this game so much and why I love it, because that's been a problem for literally like a decade now, I think. This game's like 10 years old, right? It's pretty close if it's not. 1 second. Yeah, it's almost 12 years old almost. Um, yeah, exactly. That is the current farm. But how I don't know if you were here a second ago when I yeah, yeah. Um oh, oh right, I have to actually put a colonist in there to set the price. Um yeah, no, I don't know if you were here a second ago when I changed which character I was on as, but the farming meta in this game is the reason I love it, is because, like I said, every MMO I play, I inevitably turn into like an economic simulator. Um, and this game is so good at that because I explained this game to somebody not real long ago that it's like a game made of like little systems that don't work great together, but somehow are really like really good. They scratch an itch. Are those all colonists? Oh, those are all colonists. Jeez. Um, like a great example is I'm sitting here trying to make yeah. Um, Because like a great example here is I was explaining to my brother the other day like how I was making energy credits, and I was like, oh, I'm selling colonists. And yeah, selling colonists is great money. I make like a quarter of it, like I have a million energy credits every few days per character. Um, let's see. One sec. Did I already put seven in the bank? I think I did. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. A system made of systems that do not connect is basically an MMO past maybe 5 years. And like I said, some MMOs get considerably worse because of it, and some MMOs get considerably worse, but I enjoy them because of it. Yeah. Um, the collapse of the Zen market has been fascinating to me. See, that's the thing is like I'm academically interested in STO at times. It's fascinating. Um, this being a Klingon character, I literally have this character to just use the rating function. Or a Klingon aligned character. I'm both apprehensive and um, intrigued to see what they do with STO now that they are switching over to new. What? I suppose I'm in the Kinos sector, right? Um, yeah, I gotta be right. Now that switching over to new ownership, technically. Yeah, yeah, pretty much because if you just go off the there's my colonist. The amount of dilithium going through the market right now, this is probably still a reasonably profitable game to run, considering it at this point probably doesn't take a lot to run. Um, so the real question is just going to be once Gearbox is in charge of it, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, is it worth putting a lot of effort into it, or can we just make money, low key off of it by sitting here and letting it do its thing. So yeah, I think 6 months is probably pretty accurate on how long they're gonna sit here and let it do its thing. The only reason or way that might not be like a good timeline is if Gearbox is like preloading their research, if they have already looked at it, have decided something. But I don't think you can do that really well while not having the inside information, so we'll see. Yeah. Um. Oh yeah, what I was talking about the farming meta. So this is my farming meta. It's just I have a ton of characters. At 65 that I do the Admiralty. Oh, I'm already in space. How are we doing on the Admiralty and the duty officers with? Because you can like spend 5 minutes and about half the time get all 8,000 dilithium. Yeah, I'm not sure how many slots are max. I know I'm not there yet, but that's because I keep taking like long breaks. Yeah, that's me too. Most of the time when I when I log on to STO, I either log on and do nothing but my Admiralty, or I don't do my Admiralty. It's always one or the other. Unless I'm streaming, then I usually do both. Okay, okay. Yeah, I knew it was a lot. I'm not there. I might be halfway there. And that's mainly because I usually don't actually really like make characters to do the Admiralty and all that. I just make them to like play through some stuff. But a lot of them have been leveled through the Admiralty system, or Admiralty and Duty Officer system. Which again, like, I really like the Duty Officer system. I like micromanaging stuff like that, and I mean, it's not like this is the unique as a game. Like, I think a lot of MMOs have a version of the Duty Officer system. I know, like, WoW had one. Yeah. Yeah, I got most of the stuff. So my actual spending money on STO story is that I bought the game back when you had to like pay for the physical box, which I think I actually still had the physical box. I don't think I was a beta. I don't think it was in beta. I don't think they did a beta. Well, I don't think they did a big beta. But I got it right as it came out. And then, like, maybe a couple months into the game being live... Oh no, please, cat, don't do that. That's fine, I'm being bullied by a cat. Yeah, a few months after the game going live, they sold the lifetime memberships on, like, literally just on sale. Sale? I can't speak today. And I got that. And that's literally the only money I've ever spent. Which, I mean, like, that's a couple $100s. But I've gotten that back in spades, you know, over the years. All the chips I bought, and services and I've gotten through that and the, I'm sorry. I'm really being bullied by a cat right now. Appa, please stop. Alright, 1 second. What's my roster? Okay, we're full, yeah. Okay, Death Camp Week. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, like, also, on top of that, the lifetime membership thing, like I said, that's the only money I've ever... One second, I need to move a cat scratching post, or he is going to drive me crazy. Ooh. I'm not mad at you. You come here, come here. Yeah, sit there. Well, I mean, on top of it, the massive amount of Zen that I've spent in the game, I've usually got through the Dilithium market, or the Dilithium exchange, which, like I said, its implosion has been fascinating to me. But the thing is that's still, technically speaking, moving money through the game. Yeah, a few years ago, I would have actually said that, like, the subscription-only game mode is more or less dead. But, I mean, I had basically been proven wrong by one or two games. But you're right; those games are they're fantasy games. They're very like lowest common denominator. I'm not insulting them that way. But yeah, niche games. Yeah, sub only models, completely dead. I agree. Yeah, and see, okay, so the thing is, I took a break from the game because I was not able to play it. Like, hell, I'm physically not in a place where I could play it. So I wasn't here for the dilithium exchange collapsing. So when I got here, I was very confused because, you know, used to you could go in and just buy dilithium or buy Zen for dilithium. Now you have to do the order fill, and last time I did it took 15 days, which is actually still fine. Which is pretty interesting because this means that I can now almost live kind of keep track of how much money is going through the dilithium market. Okay, so I've had this discussion with people on and on about how, like, and I think even Todd Howard, who screw Todd Howard, not Todd Howard, the guy who headed Blizzard, screw Todd Howard too, but I really like Bethesda games, so you know, but hey, not Ian Hoskish, whatever it is, Tom Chell. I cannot remember his name. The guy who headed Blizzard for the longest time, and voiced. It's been so long since I played WoW. Anyways, you know, the guy who headed WoW really long time told, you know, people just like nobody's gonna kill WoW except for WoW, which is rather prophetic at this point. But yeah, the problem is, like, if you want to dethrone the person sitting on the throne, you can't just make the same thing again. You have to make it considerably better because people have a vested interest in games they've been with a long time. So the concept that anybody's going to make a WoW killer until something comes along that makes them, that gives them the ability to make a much better game is kind of laughable. Most of the let's see. Yeah, yeah. I don't even know what. I don't even actually know what dig is. I wasn't into the Reddit thing that. Well, like Facebook replacing MySpace, which is MySpace still a thing? I realize it keeps like getting bought and brought back, and it doesn't do well. Yeah, that's kind of the point. That was like using MySpace as an example here. Facebook just literally took it and did it actually better. So, you know, you're not going to have a better social media platform until you make something considerably better than Facebook. Just making Facebook again isn't going to do it. Same thing with MMOs. If you just make WoW, why would I go to that when I'm already playing WoW and I already have, like, you know, friends and attachments to that? This does, however, mean that by and large, I'm not going to say that MMOs are largely dead. No characters set from the okay. That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, that is kind of depressing in a way because that means we're not going to get somebody who actually comes out and tries to make like a WoW killer and really actually tries it. We're going to get people who try to make a WoW killer with just like one idea, and they think that it's going to be sold on that one idea, and it's not. Yeah. Well, and MMOs are a weird market anyway, because you also have the entire concept of, like, certain MMOs are still around and profitable when that, from a marketing standpoint, makes no sense. I think I played EverQuest more than WoW in the last 5 years. And EverQuest is by gaming standpoints ancient. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because even the second place games, easy copy and relatively cheap is the other thing. That's what a lot of people don't realize, is you can make a battle royal, put it out, have it flop, and get your money back. That's why they're everywhere, and that's why everybody does them. Which, that's fine. Um, the second place MMOs that actually have functioned and survived are the ones that fascinate me, especially Final Fantasy. Is it 14? Yeah, I think it's 14. The fact that it's picked up a lot has really interested me, because I don't think it specifically has anything to do with it. I think it has more to do with WoW shit in the bed, Blizzard shit in the bed, kind of. Although it's a really nice game. I played it. It is quite good.
Do these things, you will live forever in the stories and songs of the Empire.
Yeah, and okay, so I got in on Fortnite in the beta when it wasn't a battle royal, and I really liked the Save the World section. And yes, I realize I think it's still a thing in there. When they hit it big on the battle royal section and switched over, I was kind of bummed. But, like, I know a lot of people who were into it and were really mad, and it was like, man, why would you be mad? They're raking in money on something that's just really not hard to make. And it is one of those things where, like, if you don't like battle royals, you can ignore them. That, like, other games still get made. I don't know. Game develop. I've been on a kick for like 10 plus years about how I simultaneously respect and sympathize with game developers, but I also think they are some of the worst people in the world. Not for any specific reason though. It's just I think a lot of game developers, just because of the oh well, I should have went to sell passengers. Okay, that's fine. A lot of game developers understandably get stuck in Ed Wood syndrome, where when you spend a really long time making something like a video game or a movie or something, and everybody involved who isn't working on it is looking at it and it's like, oh, this is going to be a dumpster fire, but you're so invested that you can't admit that you've spent all this time and effort and money making a dumpster fire, so you think it's really good. Yeah, and going back to the whole arena thing too, that again goes back to that whole nobody's going to willingly reinvent the wheel, because yeah, arena shooters are great and all that, but like there are arena shooters out right now that are doing really well. So you probably won't see another big push until that market starts to weaken. Um, or until somebody just gets a hair up their butt, and makes a game. And it's really interesting too that certain things that used to be mainstream in MMOs are now niche too. Like if you've watched the dumpster fire that is Pantheon try to get made. I'd really like that game to be good. It's not going to be. And if it is, I'll be surprised. But yeah, I mean, like, that kind of game is now niche. They tried to make it, and then it's slowly softened to where it is now just a WoW clone, and it's gonna fail, and it may never actually see the light of day. Um, but that leads me into the rabbit hole of just like crowdfunding and how just Cloud Imperium Games just needs to stop. Yeah. Um. So as a side note, not to get too far into like in my real life discussions or whatnot, but I have a very good friend who has worked in the tabletop RPG market, which is depressing to say, for like a good 10-15 years now. Worked for Wizards of the Coast at one point. Worked for Piezo at one point. I think she still works for Piezo. Um, who constantly goes on about how like in the tabletop market you can literally stumble over the next market paradigm, know that's what it is, and still keep going because you need to sell books. Yeah, yeah. Um, because I don't know how into like Pathfinder as a system you may or may not have been, but how it basically came about was when Wizards of the Coast made the jump from 3.5 to 4.0, and 4.0 did not do well. Um, yeah, try to yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, exactly, because Pathfinder was just and I know a lot of people will argue with me. It was just 3.5 only, like actually better. And I do actually contest it was better. I actually like most of the stuff they did, and most of the stuff that was still wrong was wrong in 3.5. So, um, yeah, but Piezo did the same thing because, like, I know very few people who have made the transition over to, uh, yeah, yeah, to save the company. Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, but it's so confusing to me because like I realize the reason they made a switch from 3.0 or from Pathfinder 1 to Pathfinder 2 was just like after a while you've sold all the books you can sell and you have to make something else to make new books. But that's not cheap. So I don't know. I I feel like, well, actually I don't feel like I actually in this case specifically know, like Pathfinder is, or Piezo is still making as much money on their like first edition stuff as they are their second, and I don't think the second is gonna pull out. So I'm very interested to see what they do going forward, on whether or not they want to like double down and continue to try to do 2.0 or eventually do a 3.0, or like go back to 1.0 or back to Pathfinder RPG and see what they can do with that. It's interesting. I don't pertain to know what they should do though. What's this person make? This person makes oof. River Shield polarity. Roster. It's pretty low roster. Yeah. Hmm. So right as they did that, and they did like the open game license, and now you can just go like for Pathfinder, you can go to Pathfinder SRD and whatnot. You know, the fact of the matter is you don't have to buy a lot of the books. A lot of people still do. I own a lot of the books. Um, but Pathfinder for the longest time was just making money on the. Oh, 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, which. Hmm. Fifth edition's interesting because it's much better than fourth. I still don't like it as much as Pathfinder though. Um, I'm sorry, that is a lot of clicky noises. Oh wait, no, I keep forgetting you can just actually click it. Um, I don't know. Wizards of the Coast is almost one of those things where like at some point I think maybe you should can a line for a while. I'm glad that fifth edition did well though. Yeah, yeah. It was when my friend in question made the jump from Wizards of the Coast to Piezo. She actually left before that. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I oh man, you mentioned Marvel now, and I don't know, I can't. I literally um as a uh general notice, if I speak ill of Disney, a bomb they implanted in my body when I worked for them will explode. Although from from a market slash production standpoint, I actually can't say a whole lot bad about what they've done with Marvel, in that they largely just let Marvel do what the hell they wanted. That's how you get a D&D. I would be okay with a D&D movie with Chris Pine. It would be terrible, but it would be probably enjoyably terrible. Yeah, well, not. And the thing is, like, I am a big superhero goon in general. Um, but I'm also not like super critical. Um, like I'm fine with. I don't know how to explain that. I'm fine with superheroes just movies just being a thing. Um, but I totally get why some people just like are not into them. I also am critical of some people who are not into them for just blatantly hypocritical reasons too. But like I've got just a lot of friends who just aren't into action movies, and that's fine. Yeah, yeah. And I'm pretty like omnivorous when it comes to geek stuff. I've like read and parsed a lot of stuff that I'm not super into, but I like in and of itself. Um, like I'm not a huge Marvel stan in general, but I like most of their stuff. I have been impressed that I have yet to see a Marvel movie that is just a disaster. And that in and of itself is kind of impressive in the market. Even though some of them are kind of like mediocre, like all they did was they weren't a disaster, especially when compared to the competition. I feel so bad for DC as a company. Um, because a lot of it isn't actually the comic book company's fault. A lot of stuff is the comic book company's fault, but not that. Yeah, and that's fine too, because like I can criticize a ton of stuff um that I really like. You know, one of the conversations slash rants I get on all the time is just telling people, you know, yeah, yeah, exactly. Ow, my eye. Sorry. Um, yeah, like I'm a big proponent of the entire concept of you can like things that you don't think are good or don't think are great. And you can dislike things that you think are good. There are a bunch of things that I've watched and I've been like, oh, this is, you know, fantastically written, fantastically acted, and just I don't like it or I actively dislike it. Um, People really shouldn't well, should try to avoid getting stuck in the whole mindset of I like it, therefore it is good, or I dislike it, therefore it is bad. And I think everybody does that from time to time. Especially with things as not comparative. What's the word I'm looking for? Subjective. That's the word I'm looking for. Subjective as like media, because I get frustrated when people also make the argument that oh, you can't say that this is bad because like I like it and this is subjective. To which my response is, well, you're basically arguing that you can never like be critical of anything, like the actual use of the word critical. Um, yeah. Disney is in fact publicly traded, and full disclosure, I actually own a pretty good amount of stock in them from when I worked for them. Yeah, basically, because like I said, the great example here is I absolutely love like bad kung fu movies, and I'm not talking about like uh you know, Bruce Lee movies. Those are actually good kung fu movies. I mean, really wretchedly bad kung fu movies. The worse the, you know, the better. The ones that are literally just they fall into the so good it's bad thing. But like, I'm never gonna argue that those are good. Like, I can acknowledge that I like them, but they're bad. And like I said, I do that a lot with I do the inverse a lot with TV shows. There are a ton of shows that I watch them and I can acknowledge, oh yeah, this is good. I know why people like this, but I hate it. Most of them can be summed up with the criticism though, like I have to, when watching a show, there has to be somebody I like in the show and can sympathize with, or I can't get into it. So a lot of shows that just have like a cavalcade of terrible people as the cast, I can't get into. Oh, like Discovery is such a weird beat. Like full disclosure, I despise it. It's not terrible, but it's not good Trek, and that bothers me. That's a bad harbinger. Um, Yeah, yeah, and you're correct there, but the thing is like, I wonder at this point um, how much the people, well, actually, I do know how much the people involved are doing this, but, um, you're not wrong. That is exactly what it is an action show trying to be the best. The thing is like, and I think they have finally kind of realized this after it's floundered for so long, even though it is much better than it used to be. Is that there is a market for like smart Trek, and it is a market that has gone unfilled. And that, unfortunately, if you're going to make a Star Trek action show, you're competing with every other action show. And it then becomes a question of, are you better than those action shows? Discovery it's perfectly fine science fiction. It's just not particularly good Trek, is the problem. And you can even do yeah, kinda. Yeah, and oh, can we talk about DC movies for a second? Because I feel like I'm going to simultaneously shit on them and give them credit. One of the big complaints that people have with the DC cinematic, I do too, but I will come back to that. One of the big complaints that people have with the DC cinematic universe is that it's really dark and grungy, and it's not very fun. And they're basically complaining that they don't have those funny, dumb quips. But at the same time, like, they're really not good. So, they're stuck in a catch-22 where if they're trying to do something different, it might fail. But if you do the same thing, you get derided for just doing the Marvel thing. Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't know. Going back to you can make like a good Star Wars action show. They kind of did it every now and then. But when I say that, I mean like they did it in DS9 in 2 seasons, where they were just like, we're gonna tell a war drama. But that's it. It wasn't really an action show. It was more of a war drama. So not exactly the same thing. Yeah, basically. Yeah, because okay, so and again, I'm not a. I find a lot of these way more like fascinating from the perspective of looking at them, how they're being made, than actually watching them. Yeah, with Marvel like went in from really movie 1, which was either Iron Man or the Incredible Hulk. Or Hulk actually. And if you go rewatch those, see, everybody thinks they want to be Marvel now, but nobody really wants to be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, okay. Talking about that, the first 2 Marvel movies were Hulk and Iron Man, and I've always really wondered if Iron Man hadn't have done as well as it did. If they would have kept rolling at least the rate they were. Because from a monetary standpoint, I don't think it was hugely successful. Like, I know it made money, like a lot of money, but not like current Marvel, like every movie breaking $1 billion friggin' dollars in total profit. Yeah, it was $140 million and $585 million. So it definitely broke the golden rule of you need to make 3 times what you... Oh, it is the Incredible Hulk, actually, that, yeah. You need to make three times the money that you were spending on the movie to be considered, like, an actual success, and you need to make about twice what you put in to not be considered a flop. A lot of people kind of forget that the Incredible Hulk made twice the money. It was not a flop. A lot of people think it was. But if you go rewatch those with, like, a real nerd laser eye, you catch literally, like, little Easter eggs for movies that haven't been made yet that are already in there. So Marvel was coming in from the get-go, spending the money to make individual movies for, you know, its members, while also connecting those movies from the get-go. DC both wanted to make the Avengers, basically, way too soon, and in their individual movies was not willing to take the risk of connecting them in a way where, like, if one failed, they all went down the drain. I also think a lot of that just has to do with, like, DC will not pick a captain and let him go. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I keep forgetting, by the way, that My Little Pony is owned by Hasbro, even though that makes no sense, because they've always been owned by Hasbro. And I was like... brony... what's the word? Adjacent for that whole thing. So that was quite fun. But yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of this also comes down to this entire trap of, like, Rockstar style creators too. Yeah. Oh yeah, the community was way more interesting than the actual phenomenon itself. Oh yeah. Well, that's just the internet. I mean, you know, that's literally everything. But I feel like it's danger. The danger of the whole concept of, like, Rockstar creators is part of the problem too. Where, like, J.J. Abrams does one thing well, so you're like, oh, he can do this science fiction well. He can do that any science fiction well. Like, that's not necessarily how that works. And you also have the problem of you have companies that will... Oh, that's a lot of overflow. Oh, geez, this person hasn't been in to sell things in forever, is what's going on. You also have the danger of... oh, wait, whose side... This person is a Klingon, right? Or is Klingon adjacent? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Why can I not... Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. So if we're talking about the Abrams films, the thing that always confused me is that, like yeah, they're fine. Calm down on the lens flare, JJ. They're fine. That's all I would say. The third one, which was the last one they did, of course, it was really good. And I feel like they finally hit their stride. But I also feel like everybody was just kinda over it at that point. Have you looked at the stuff we've gotten for Strange New Worlds yet? I'm very interested. I think they're gonna completely screw the pooch, but that's just my standard stance of always expects. always expect disappointment, and if you don't get it, you're surprised and happy. Yeah, exactly. Beyond hit this perfect, like, area where it was really fun and kind of dumb and vapid, but it also felt like a Star Trek movie that was being fun and dumb and vapid, which is very hard to do. So I'm not going to shit on J.J. Abrams as a general rule. He can do good stuff. Into Darkness just was. I don't know what happened. Like, I legitimately do not know what went wrong with that movie, because it's again, it's not god awful, but it's not good. I feel like their problem there was that they literally were like, we're gonna do Wrath of Khan, and like, no, don't do that if you're doing just a complete reboot, please. Yeah. So what's your favorite Star Trek movie then? Let's just get into that discussion, because I'm always very interested to hear people's answer to that. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know if you've looked at the the pre-production stuff we've got for Strange New Worlds. It appears to be the powers that be kind of acquiescing to a certain degree. A lot of those are prisoners. Oh, see, okay. We can be friends now, because Undiscovered Country is just without a doubt my favorite Star Trek. Okay, least favorite Star Trek, then. Undiscovered Country is really, zombie filming, yeah. Um. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. We can be friends now, because like, I contest Final Frontier is one of the 2 or 3 worst Star Trek movies, but I love it so much just because of, like, it's a train wreck up until the end, and then you get to this whole section, and you get to just that. Why he asked, "Why does God need a star?" It's one of the best lines in Star Trek at the end of a movie that kind of didn't know what it was doing. I don't even dislike it for not being that good. I kind of respect it for trying something and not sticking it, but still being really good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, yeah, Harp, we just become best friends? My least favorite Star Trek, is without a doubt, damn it, see, I dislike it so much, I can't remember the name. I'm also going to preface this by pointing out that sometimes silly as a teacher, yeah. That the only reason that I'm gonna fuck is brag. Yeah, how unexplained. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good way to actually point out what's both wrong with and good about Final Frontier is it has all these really great character moments. But the story they're telling is just terrible. Okay, 3,000. Okay, that's not that much, but that's fine because prisoners are always like that. I really, really dislike The Voyage Home. And the only reason that it's my least favorite Star Trek movie is that I constantly forget that insurrection exists. Yeah, yeah. Like, remember we were talking about a little bit ago about how like I have a bunch of things where I watch them and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic, but I don't like it. Voyage Home is that 100%. Like, I watch it, I appreciate it, and I'm just like, I'm so bored. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Voyage Home, like, Voyage Home has all the stuff in it that should make me really like it, but for some reason it doesn't land. I'm usually really stunningly self-aware of why I do or do not like something, and I can't articulate why I don't like Voyage Home. I think everybody is at least disappointed with Search for Spock. Man, I kind of want to make a tier list for Star Trek movies now. Search for Spock, like, it's almost the insurrection of the original Star Trek movies. Like, I keep forgetting it's a thing. And that's less offensive than being, like, memorably bad sometimes. Like, again, Insurrection, it's just like, it's bad, and I know it's bad, but it's so forgettable, I don't think about it. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, there's an interesting Star Trek favorites discussion. Who is your favorite Vulcan? Because I absolutely know who my favorite is. I need to quit. I need to quit poking these. I need to actually pop out into space to do that. Because who your favorite Vulcan is also says a lot of like. Yeah, yeah. Because your favorite Vulcan says a lot about you as a Star Trek fan, and a lot about like what you expect from Vulcans. Because I don't a lot of Star Trek fans who like openly dislike the Vulcans as a group. I'll lead since I asked the question. Mine is unquestionably Tuvok. And it's because Tuvok is consistently actually logical, but he never dips over into being... Okay, that's fair. And Spock is a special case, too, because when you're watching Spock, you always have to remember that he is not entirely Vulcan. And also, yeah, Nimoy is just a wonder to watch. Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Tuvok is a bro. Tuvok is logical, but he's also like he's a Vulcan who has realized that emotions are a thing and should not be ignored. You just don't let them control you. Also, he has a wonderfully Vulcan sense of humor, which I appreciate. Vulcan, I think Tuvok is like what a Vulcan is supposed to be, and that a lot of other Vulcans we find are Vulcans who have kind of failed at being Vulcan, which is fair, I guess. Yeah, Tuvok is a bro. That's a good way to put it. The three man dynamic that Star Trek usually tries for, although they've abandoned at times, which that's fine. I've always been really interested in because I honestly think that almost every series except for the first one kind of failed. Even the ones that are like that did really well, because in TNG, I as a side note, I'm not trying to out myself for age here, but I grew up with TNG, although that's a relative term. I believe I was 4 when it came out. First movie I ever actually went to see in theaters was Undiscovered Country, and I was like 3, I think. Dr. Select. Oh, okay. If we're going for Hello, that one's really tough because I'm a really big fan of Jolene Blaylock, but I'm also not a huge fan of her as an actual. Yes, Elder Millennials. Yeah, like I said, I know that the first movie I ever went to go see was Undiscovered Country, and that's just literally because my mother couldn't get a babysitter, so I went when I was like 3. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, if we're just going for like a Hello Nurse entry into Vulcans, it's Jolene Blaylock. And I like DePaul, but not my favorite Vulcan. That is DePaul, or that is Tuvok, just because just like Tuvok is exactly what I think a Vulcan should be. Logical without being obnoxious, basically, or being comically obnoxious if he's going to be obnoxious. Oh, who was it? It was a friend of mine once called him the and again, I don't know if you're gonna get this reference, but he's the Vulcan version of the dude. He's perfectly fine with the people around him not being logical, because they just are, and I like that. Yeah. Um, I don't know, and New Trek, I don't know. Yeah. Um, there's certain parts of it I like, but it's almost like they can't make a single show that hits it for me. That I consider not almost almost loving parody, because I actually really like Lower Decks, but its entire shtick is that it is satire of Star Trek. It's loving satire of Star Trek. It takes the stuff that Star Trek takes really seriously and pokes fun at like the incongruities and the illogicalness of it. And we are back down to the people that I don't have maxed out yet. We're actually gonna go do my main character first, real quick. But Discovery, man, I don't know. I feel like I'll come to... No, actually, I'll just go ahead and do Picard. I like Picard tentatively, but I have some serious problems with it. Which, again, is fine. Nothing has to be perfect. My biggest complaint is just, like, a huge amount of the cast... Oh, the characters, not the cast. That's incorrect, because the cast, but yeah. A lot of the characters in that show, their default reaction seems to be just to act like dumb children. Like, and I don't even mean like petulant people. I mean like actual 5-year-olds. And it works sometimes, and it doesn't sometimes. So I don't know. I've heard that somewhere, and that's really, really true, because like some of my favorite shows over the years, you can watch the first probably about 8 episodes. The classic rule is, of course, the rule of 3, where you watch the first 3 episodes and then you decide whether or not you want to watch the rest of the show. That works sometimes, it doesn't others, but like yeah, Idiot Ball Department, yeah. Okay, so Disco, the biggest offense that Disco does is it tries to do the thing that TNG did, where it takes certain elements of the show and it retcons them, but where TNG did it, they literally did it because they had a budget now and could afford to make Klingons look like an actual alien race. And not just because they fucking wanted to. Which is what a lot of the design choices, I feel, in Discotheque amount to, is the people who were making the show were just like, I'm making Star Trek now, and I want this to look this way. And it irks me. It shows I don't want to say disrespect, it shows a lack of respect for what came before, and I never felt like TNG ever did that. Yeah, that's what the show wants to be, is a good way to put it. Yeah, and don't hate watch stuff, I agree. Yeah, exactly. When the first season of Disco came out, I actually watched it, and I immediately was like, the second season will probably be much better. And it was. I'm still not a fan, though, is the thing, so. Yeah, they want to make their movie, exactly. I don't know, but see, that's the thing, is, like, if I wanted to make a Star Trek movie, I would want to make my Star Trek movie, but I would want to make it with, like, the elements of Star Trek, so, I don't know. And there are definitely creators who can clearly show a lot more respect for other people's work, so, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely was Fuller's problem. Talking about that though, and again, I hate to like veer off into other things in reference to Star Trek though, but like, I was sitting down with my my best friend a while ago, and we were watching basically just Batman stuff on HBO Max, just like the animated movies. So I sat down and I started to watch Batman the Animated Series again. and it's always struck me that there's no there's no production curve to Batman the Animated Series. The first episodes are some of the best. The last episodes are consistently good, though. It never dips, and it didn't seem like they needed any amount of time to. I need to stop clicking this and start doing that. Any time to actually get its feet under it. But what kept occurring to me, and I kind of knew this anyways, is it's like the most adult treatment Batman has ever gotten on a screen. And I was constantly looking at it and thinking to myself, like, why can't we get a Batman movie that does this? The Hollywood answer is probably just like that Hollywood doesn't think that people want that. They're incorrect, but you have to convince people with money to upfront it. So I don't know. Hollywood's always been kind of disconnected from what people want, and I don't think that's inherently like a person's fault. I think that is a byproduct of being terrified to lose like millions of dollars on a screw up. By contrast, if you're a fan of it, I've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender not really long ago, and I can test it's one of the best TV shows ever made. And the first couple episodes of that are rough by comparison. Yeah. One of the things that always interested me, because the first couple episodes of Batman the Animated Series are like, On Leather Wings is the first one with Man-Bat, and then you get like the Clayface not in order, but like the Clayface episode. You get a Mr. Freeze episode, and every Batman villain, with the exception of the Joker, you get some point where they are a very human character with some amount of tragedy, and you kind of get the Batman, like how to do Batman correctly. You get the whole Batman feel, like people aren't just monsters, they become monsters because of outside forces. But then you also have the Joker, who you just like, yeah, like you said, you never know if he's gonna kill you or throw a pie in your face. And their Batman is Kevin Conroy as Batman is fantastic, because he's the only Batman that I legitimately don't think should probably be in an asylum. Yeah, well, okay, so, where I was talking about, I was asking the question of why can't we get a Batman story in a movie like this? If you go watch Mask of the Phantasm, which is one of the two Batman movies, like, it actually got a theatrical release, which is stunning. Well, one second. What level is this character? My live feed is in the way. Yeah, if you go watch that, there's literally a scene in that movie where Bruce Wayne is like in front of his parents' grave in the rain, just kind of asking the internal question of, is it all right for me to stop being Batman? And he asks this question of, prefaces this whole point of, like, he never expected to be happy again. And, is it okay to pick happiness over what he's picked as a duty? And I'm like, we could literally never get this in a modern Batman movie. But it's okay in a kid's show. Yeah. Well, not just we're gonna make this cheaply, so if it fails, you're not holding the bag. But like, if you go watch, if you go watch like literally back-to-back Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. The Joker is a fantastic movie. It's an original movie though. And I would argue you were never actually going to lose money on that movie at all. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It wouldn't have worked if it had a huge budget. Like they wouldn't have greenlit it. All right, so this character, I'm not gonna work on. So so next. I mean, pretty much the entire reason that, or at least the entire reason that a lot of people have, hold on a second. Yeah, one of the reasons that a lot of people have prefaced or argued that Martin Scorsese was even involved in the Joker movie is just so he didn't sue them. which yeah, probably. I don't know, and Batman in the Animated Series is kind of like my counter argument. Well, Batman in the Animated Series and a couple of Marvel outings, and just, like, every now and then you get something that's legitimately really good, and you can make an argument of like, no, you can legitimately do daring, like, adult things with like a superhero medium. You absolutely can. It's just like, if you want to make money, that should not be what most of your outings are. Yeah, and look, man, like, Martin Scorsese is like, what, in his 80s? I mean, like, actually, I do kind of know. I want to know how old Martin Scorsese is now. 79. So yeah. I mean, like, Martin Scorsese is almost 80. He's allowed to just be a cranky bastard if he wants to. And like, if he's like, it's not cinema, that's fine, man. I mean, that's, you know, he's operating on an older definition of cinema. But I'd point out that like, Martin Scorsese lived in a time where they put out some real shit boxes too, and probably called it cinema. Yeah, exactly. Not to get too far into it, but like, you know, my great grandmother passed away like a couple months ago at 106. And just once you get past a certain point, and it probably is right around the 80s, especially if you've lived like a really full life and you've seen some shit, you can just be a cranky bastard if you want to. Nobody should be able to call you on it. Wait, is this character yeah. It's and she was a trip anyway. She's one of those people who would absolutely just be a cranky jerk to your face and didn't care if you got upset, which I deeply appreciate. But you know, like, going back to the Martin Scorsese thing, like, you know, it's not just that Martin Scorsese is almost 80. It's, you know, Martin Scorsese is 80 and has made legitimately some of the best movies ever. If he has a higher, you know, bar for what he considers cinema, that's fine. I don't have to agree with him. I don't even necessarily disagree with him. It's just like, it's the concept that if you have superheroes in your movie, you can't make something that is cinema. I can agree with the concept of like no, almost none of what you're making is going to be considered high cinema. Like art, as it were. But it is that same dismissive principle of people who are like, if it's a cartoon, it has to be for children. It's the same kind of mindset. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like I get his point. I don't even. Oh, do I actually have 20? Oh, I came in here to go to the market. I don't even disagree with him to a certain degree, but it does reek of that slightly hypocritical, dismissive um air that a lot of people have over just like one medium or another, and that is the comparison I'll make is people who are just of the opinion that if it's a cartoon, it can't have anything interesting or artistic or daring to say. When at this point, cartoons almost honestly get away with that stuff better, just because people are kind of dismissive of it in that fashion. Um, Going back to the Batman the animated series thing, we would never get a uh, we were never going to get a Schumacher movie with Mr. Freeze getting that really amazing backstory he got in the animated series. I mean, kind of, but at the same time, that same group of people, they kind of put up with that shit too. So, nah, I bring this up to the whole concept of like every generation, when all is said and done, like when your kids look back at your generation, they're supposed to look back at you and be like, oh, if you're lucky, let me rephrase that, they're supposed to look back at you and say, hey, they did their best, but they were stuck in their own thing, and we can do better. That's called progress. Same thing. Um, and you kind of like by definition get proved wrong if society works all the time, anyways. So um, I only have a problem with what Scorsese said if he is just completely uh, unwilling to accept the concept that you could theoretically make a superhero movie that was like art. Um, if he's like you can't, then there's a problem. If he's like they don't, or I haven't seen one yet, that's fine, and I would agree to that to a certain degree. How are we doing on the roster here? Wow. Okay, this person's full up also. But at the same time, you consistently get the problem that even if you do something good and daring with like an off color medium, uh, like Hollywood can't do it right. Hollywood can't reproduce it correctly. The Last Airbender is a movie, perfect example. Um, Hollywood has a real problem of what's what yeah, yeah. Um, but I don't know if I have to complain about Hollywood and movie making, and actually there's something I want to preface it to you here in a moment. But the problem is that they really like taking things that have a fan base or have a following and saying, we can cash in on this fan base or this following. But then they just completely refuse to respect or even wonder why people liked it in the first place. And this is not new. This is, tale as old as time. It's like the whole concept of why can't you get a good adaptation of any anime whatsoever, period. It's just that the people they hand it off to, even if they respect the source material, like the execs do not. And again, our not threat, not chance. You said it a while ago. Lossiverse. Yeah, no, it won't. Well, it'll never be explicitly settled. The thing that's always confused me is, I don't know. I'm gonna use the example of when did the Ghost in the Shell movie come out? 2017. Right, so it costed 100 first gets. Oh, 95. Yep. Yeah, was the original animated the anime, yeah. Was 95. So, like, the thing is, and we're talking about bean counters versus creative types here for a second, is if you're going to spend money to buy an IP, to make it, because it is a deeply respected fan favorite that is known for a specific style and an element, in this case, like a unsubtle but interesting philosophical discussion on humanity. I don't see how it's a bean counter versus creative argument to say, like, no, do that, instead of, let's make this into the most generic-ass spy movie ever made, with, just a cyber, like, the colorings of the anime over top of it. The only thing I can figure out is that somebody who was in charge of this just looked at it and decided that it was a style over form, or a style over substance is literally what made it good, so just make it look like this, and otherwise make it the least daring thing we possibly can. I get that that's what probably happened. It just makes no sense to me. It seems like a bigger... It seems like a bigger gamble to... people were... Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Also, I probably will really like that episode. Because even when Robert Rodriguez misses, I love his stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, that's what's always confused me, is I've always felt it would be a bigger gamble to deviate from the source material if you're making an adaptation. Clearly, I am not a network executive. Is what I take from this discussion. Okay, so I actually have to ask, because I'm in somewhat of a bubble at times when it comes to stuff like that. My indication was that the reaction to the Mandalorian was just overwhelmingly positive, with your normal amount of bitching and moaning. But I don't know. There might have been like specific complaints or something that I might have missed. Oh wait, no. Yeah, turn in contraband. Oh yeah, no. Well, that's just Reddit. I mean, I don't even feel like, I feel like Reddit is just one of those places where you only notice shit when people are complaining about it. It's not even that people aren't like talking about how much they enjoy something. It's just it doesn't get attention otherwise. Yeah, which is fine. Yeah. I don't know, yeah, basically. I don't know, man. Like media. The one thing I was talking about is So I have this fringe conspiracy theory. It's the only fringe conspiracy theory that I actually have and pertain to, and that is that Michael Bay is actually a genius, and the shit show that is Michael Bay's career at this point is just him trolling the viewing public. Mainly because of a few things. One is like the history of Michael Bay as a let's see, yeah, but like, I feel like that's probably always been a thing. I feel like somebody was bitching about Oedipus Rex not being targeted towards them in ancient Greece. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong though. Yeah, it's like the whole thing of Socrates fucking complaining about kids back in the day. Everybody does that. The kids are fine. Leave them alone. No, but like the Michael Bay thing, I came up with because Michael Bay has a really interesting like academic history in filmmaking, and at the same time, what is this? 1 second. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, I don't know if you've ever heard this one. It is actually really legitimately interesting. 1 second. Yeah, Socrates in one of his treatises wrote, "Children, they had bad manners, contempt for authority, they showed disrespect for elders, and loved chatter in place of exercise. They no longer arise when elders enter the room, they contradict their parents, and tyrannize their teachers. Children are now tyrants." And this is, of course, 470 BC, and I'm pretty sure No, I don't think Socrates was the... I don't think Socrates... I don't think Socrates was the guy who said that reading made you dumb. I think that was actually Aristotle. Yeah, you just think that everybody has been complaining about the same shit forever. And it ebbs and flows as to what we complain about. But Michael Bay went to Juilliard, which always blows my mind. And he graduated top of his class, and then went on to be Michael Bay. So, what the hell happened? But there's a quote from Michael Bay after the second Transformers, or no, I think it's like the third Transformers movie came out, where somebody complained basically to him that the same thing he had done in the first two movies he had done in this one, the same thing he shouldn't have done in the first two movies he had done in this movie, and that it made the movie almost like not appropriate for children. And his response was like to blankly stare at them a moment and be like, yeah, and you still took your kids to it. And I'm like, I think Michael Bay is trolling the viewing populace because they'll watch fucking anything. And I don't know, man. It's just nothing makes sense sometimes in media in general. This is why I didn't go. It's why my academic career had nothing to do with anything like that. Oh, and that's really loud. 1 second. Let me lower that so it's not like I'm sure blaring in. I forgot how loud like weapons fire is in this game. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure that is an interesting like chart, and that is probably very accurate. But yeah, I mean, like in interviews, he's literally almost taken like this opinion of like berating people who complain about his movies by literally saying like, you keep paying to see them. So who's to blame here? And I'm like, I don't think he's wrong. So, what the hell? I don't know. It's like I hold an opinion that I can't be too mad at people for shilling idiots. Like, they're gonna spend their money somewhere. Yeah, basically. And don't get me wrong, Michael Bay does legitimately seem like a dumpster fire of a person. But I feel like that may actually be a reaction to what he does for a living, where he's just sick of everybody. I don't know. It may actually be that. It may actually not be that meme, and it may be the meme of like the worst person you know has a point. Yeah. Well, I'm a Disney shareholder, and by God, I wish they would go to somebody different every now and then. That's the thing, and I will give them, I don't know, a slight nod in that they have been willing to every now and then, like every couple movies, do something interesting, and if it works, they inch in trying things. It's like risk aversion by way of only doing so many daring things per Oh, it's like the fuck rule, where like to be in a PG movie, you get one fuck one. They can say fuck once. It's that. Yeah. So I don't know. And even daring movies kind of do that to a certain degree. The first part to the Dune movie, I was like so, I don't know, so torn on, where I'm like, I'm impressed we got this good, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Yeah, kind of. Okay, so, oh man, oh man, we could get into like a really long discussion of the back and forth between Disney Studios and the parks, because it's legitimately fascinating even from like a business standpoint. Um, the let's talk about Bob Iger for a moment. Right, so when Walt died, both the the parks and the studios were doing pretty good, and the studios started to really shit the bed, for lack of a better word. And for a long time, the parks were what was keeping the studios actually. Oh, it absolutely could, and not like it's just a matter of volume to a certain degree. But yeah, when you had like Oliver and Company, that whole before 1989, before after Walt's death in 79, but before the beginning of the Disney Renaissance in 89 with Little Mermaid. The studio was shit in the bed to the point where it was about to go under, and there was real talk about divesting the parks from the studios. But the company decided not to do that and just basically had the parks prop up the studios. Then you hit the Disney. Well, actually, let's stop before we go to the Disney Renaissance. What actually saved Disney Studios was Saturday morning cartoons, specifically DuckTales. And they started making money, and that let them be a little more daring with the movies. And you got the start of the Disney Renaissance, which was. Yeah, hooray, DuckTales, exactly. Which DuckTales is really fascinating, too, because if you go back to, like, 1989 and you look at the Saturday morning cartoons that were coming out at the time, their quality is just, it's wretched. Even the stuff that holds up, it's not good quality stuff. And then you look at DuckTales, and it looks so much better. And this was a big risk, because basically they were like, we're spending as much on 3 episodes as Saturday morning cartoons spend on entire seasons. And Bob Iger was like, his response was yes, and in two season runs, there won't be any low budget Saturday morning cartoons around anymore. And he was basically right. So that propped up the studios, and then the studios started to make money. Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so like Star Trek was like Star Trek the animated series. It kind of gets a pass when it came out, where it's like it's good, but it's not. It doesn't look good, right? I might come back to that, but yeah. So cartoons propped up the studios. Then they hit the Disney Renaissance and start making money hand over fist. But about at the same time, yeah, not good animation. But about the same time that this happens, the parks have been run by a Bob Iger, and he has, for lack of a better word, run them into the ground. It's basically a joke at the Disney parks that every time a ride would break, Bob Iger would take it out and replace it with a merchandise shop. That is pretty accurate. Guy was great at running the studios, terrible at running the parks, though. So the parks really started to suffer, and there was then a big discussion about, do we just let them fail, or do we have these studios prop them up? The stockholders more or less said let them fail, but Bob Iger actually was like, no, that's not right. They saved us, we saved them. Moving into the pandemic, I would have to look. Yeah, exactly. Going into the pandemic, I would be really stunned if the parks were like the lion's share of money, because Disney was just doing really. I think both of them were doing really well at the time. I am 100% sure that Disney Plus just literally, I don't want to say saved the company, but it definitely is the reason that, like, my stock is not tanked. Yeah, as far as animation goes, though, like, even, like, really nostalgic, older, like, Saturday morning cartoons, a lot of them are really rough. Two great examples from when I was a kid, which I'll get to that, but, is if you go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe, which I would point out the fact that I never liked G.I. Joe. They both look really rough, and from like a viewing standpoint, they're rough to watch. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles still holds up. G.I. Joe does not at all. They don't do it like just it, but there's a show called Defunct Land that touches in on this if you want to go like check it out. It's got a lot of really neat stuff about the theme park industry. I could literally probably write a book because, you know, like you were saying earlier, I probably could write a book about Disney politics. My dream job would be to be like the Disney archivist. Not because I'm a huge Disney stan, just because it's a fascinating company. I'm a big Disney stan, but it is also a fascinating company. Yeah, and I don't know. Saturday morning cartoons confuse me anyway because, like, even as a kid, I wasn't big into a lot of them. I watched a lot of them and were like, this is crap. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it still kind of holds up. Did I level or not? Nope. It still holds up. It's rough, but G.I. Joe, like, it doesn't hold up at all. He-Man as a show doesn't hold up particularly well anymore. She-Ra, oddly enough, holds up way better. Okay, let's see. Heard a lot of that anecdotes about Disney artists being on the hook or anything they make going in. Define on the hook, because that's an interesting question. I don't want to say that's probably erroneous, but I feel like that's. Oh yeah. Okay, so kinda. Okay, so about my Disney employment journey, because Disney is a wild ride to work for, and it doesn't matter where you're working either. I think the only people I ever like legitimately saw working at the park or saw working in the system that were not like this were like dishwashers. I am not even being facetious when I say that. But when you go to work for Disney, as in my case, a custodial cast goblin, you basically walk in and you sign a form which basically says any creative output you have while working for. Let me adjust the volume real quick. I realize I'm peaking a bit. There we go. Yeah, any creative output that you have while working for the company has to be offered to Disney or you can't use it. So a great example here is like if I'm a custodian and I write a song, like just any song, I have to offer that to Disney, or in this case, BMG Records, I think is... One second. It used to be Rhino Records. Ignoring Walt Disney Records. I know they own another... UMG. That's it. Universal Media Group. Yeah, you have to offer it to them first. And if they turn you down, like, that's fine, you own it, but you can't sell it to anyone else while you're working for Disney. So it's a really interesting dynamic that you're talking about there, because the great example here is if you write the concept for like a show, like let's say an animated show for like Disney, right? And you pitch to them and they say no, like, yeah, that's fine, they can't take it from you, but you can't pitch it to anyone else until you don't work for them anymore. Oh yeah, okay, so we're gonna get into it. So like I said, my job in the park system was as a custodial cast member, which is a really polite way to say I was a janitor, and I'm not gonna shit on that job. It was honestly, real talk, probably the happiest I have ever been while working. Because I was in Magic Kingdom, so like every day I go to work on Main Street. Every day I go to work, my job is to pan and broom, empty some trash, bust some tables, and I get fireworks, I get a parade twice a day, and as a custodian, kind of oddly enough, like the thing that people don't think about is, one second, I have never done the Clash above Charon. We're gonna do that, but yeah, while you pan and broom, you more than probably anybody else in the park system are out and about. So when people like have a question or a problem, you're usually the first person they see. So you have to like deal with them sooner. And I don't think I ever took or met anybody that took a like an actual factual class on conflict resolution. But after you work there a while, the mindset from working in the park has permeated you to the point that it almost becomes second nature. And I know that sounds really weird, but it is. And yeah, absolutely, everybody who works in custodial has like has a collection of weird stories after a while. Maybe 2 years is the bare minimum, because you have the dumbest question you've ever been asked story. You have the almost getting murdered by a guest story. You have the being sexually propositioned story, and probably a story about bodily injury. It is the weirdest place you could ever work, I imagine. But also legitimately fantastic. If they had paid a respectable wage when I worked there, I would probably still be there. But they did not. And they have just gotten around to doing that, thankfully. And I keep threatening to run away to work there again. After I finish grad school, I may actually. And I just realized I have no hull heal on this ship. And Disney security is wild, too. Like, that is a job I probably wouldn't want. Yeah, kind of. Okay, so I want to say 2 or 3 years right before the pandemic hit. This was in Florida, but it affected. Oh, I'm about to blow up. Yep. Like I said, I don't have a hull heal. That's a problem. I'm also completely ignoring the fact that I have science abilities. Right before the pandemic hit, they upped the hourly pay at Disney, because Walt Disney's granddaughter, who owns a sizable chunk of stock, basically embarrassed them into paying a decent amount, and they switched to like $15 an hour, which in Orlando, that is an acceptable level of pay for the low end. It's still not great. Orlando's not nearly as expensive as people make it out to be to live in, but it's still very expensive, just because of the rent. So I don't know. Like I said, I would probably work there again, starting at $15 an hour. But not at this point in my career. So, you know, I'd have to make more if I went back at this point. Yeah, easy work is a relative term too, because like some days are rough. Sometimes a year the hours are fine. It also depends a lot on the job you're in. Custodian is a weird gig. Because you are one of those jobs where you get stuck with just weird hours. Yeah, but there's a reason the Disney program is still like integral to Disney's work model. Is just because you have those fluctuations in how many workers you need constantly, and you know, those you need people who will take less pay than you should probably be giving them. But like I said, I appreciate that they were bullied into improving the problem. Ah. And that's before you get into like really strange jobs too, because I used to eat lunch with the lady who used to be Tinkerbell in the park, and her daughter was Tinkerbell, and she had just moved on to costuming. So like, Disney is actually pretty commendable about the whole concept of, if you can't do the job you were originally doing and you want to stay with them, they will do a pretty good job of keeping you there. So I don't know, it's a mixed bag. Okay, so I can actually speak on this one relatively well. Disney's labor position right now is not as bad as a lot of people kind of are thinking it is. They definitely do not have a problem finding labor at the moment, but that's only because they're using less labor than they normally would. If for some reason Disney was just like literally incapable of operating the college program, they would cease to function very quickly. But because of the college program, they basically do have an endless supply of labor. The only thing that saved them during COVID is that they need less labor while COVID is going. Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you my dumbest question ever. The dumbest question ever, kind of internal Disney meme, is specific to custodians almost, because again, we're out there, we're the first person people see. So a lot of the time, do I have this on higher difficulty or am I just sucking eggs? Um, uh, um, but it's really specific to custodians because we're the first people, first person people run into. So a lot of times we get the really dumb questions. So my question is, I work on Main Street, which if you know anything about the park system, it's where the castle's in front of it, at the head of the street. So a lady comes up to me and asks the question, "Excuse me, well, where is the park?" Oh wait. I don't know. The problem, uh, good. The problem literally is that I do not have a single hull heal equipped. Is what's going on. If I had like literally one hull heal, I would probably be fine. Yeah. Yeah, I'm correctly equipped. I am not correctly bridge trained. Is my problem. It's been a while since I've actually done anything on this character, which is fine. But there we go. But lady comes up to me and asks the question, where where's the carousel? Not a stupid question. So I point at the top of the street at the castle, the 189-foot tall castle. And I tell her, "Ma'am, if you walk up to the castle, there'll be a breezeway, a walkway through the castle. You walk through the castle, the carousel is on the other side." And she looks at me, and she looks at the castle. Yeah, exactly. Um, she looks at me, she looks at the castle, she looks back at me, and she asks the question, "Which castle?" So, I like have a tiny nervous breakdown instantly where I like stop and start to look around the park to see if I have worked at this location for like 2 years and I did not realize we had a second fucking castle. And finally just come to the conclusion that this woman might be an idiot. She might not be. I might be being really judgmental when I say that. But I literally lose sleep sometimes trying to figure out what the other castle she was talking about was. Yeah, like I said, it's a wild place to work. Alright, I do not remember what I was doing with this character. Oh, I'm actually doing missions with this character. Right, okay. We're gonna go to Secret Order. This is the character I was actually working on the last. Hence the reason it has my favorite ship. Now we're just gonna shoot the gas. I'm usually pretty good at outfitting my characters with my main. Yeah. Oh, no, I was doing patrols. Those are what the last two people were doing. This one's actually a mission, but uh, I don't know, man. Like patrols, I don't know. I keep not paying attention to how much experience patrols give. Because I think I might need to stop doing them because they give terrible experience. Yeah, yeah. I have to be real honest, like, I'm really bad about sticking everybody in every character I have in a cruiser. Um, yeah, yeah. I love space magic, but I'm bad at it. Like, I haven't gotten back into it and gotten good with it yet. Oh my god, I forgot how low I have the engine power on the ship. Yeah, my ideal ships in the game are like tactical cruisers. Just because, like you said, they're basically the most laid back place. Also, I honestly speaking love the way they look most of the time. Like like I was saying, the Odyssey here. Um, like I realize as a side note that Cryptic is not actually responsible for the design of the Odyssey. It was actually a design competition. Um, yeah. Um. Oh damn. Okay, the turret's right over there. Okay. Um. I realized that the Cryptic didn't actually make the Odyssey. Was actually the outcome of a design competition. That being said, uh, Star Trek Online has produced my favorite looking starship in all of Star Trek. The Odyssey is absolutely gorgeous. It even kind of captures uh the whole concept of like every ship past um the original the original Enterprise has to have like some little gimmick to make it cool. And if you do that right, you get like the I actually think I mean, like, and this is just a difference in aesthetic opinion, I guess, but um, I actually think she looks like sleeker than the Sovereign. She definitely looks bigger. Like even if they were the same size, she would look bigger. Um, but I think her whole form is better thought out. I think she basically looks like a cleaned up. Um, so yeah, she's thick. Um, she looks like a cleaned up Sovereign who's been like fed right as a kid. Um, also, I really prefer her in like the original series hull forms. Like White really lends herself well to her. Um, but like every Star Trek ship is supposed to have like something that's neat about them. Like you had the Galaxy, of course, had saucer separation. Uh, DS9 was a space station, and then you also had the Defiant, which is just very atypical for a Star Trek ship. And then Voyager, of course, had a couple little things, but also landed on planets. That was his thing. The Sovereign even kind of feels like that. Like, it feels like that correct balance of we need our ship to be a special snowflake, but not, like, obnoxious with a fucking spinning saucer section and detachable. I'm gonna shit on the Discovery for a second, is what this is. Like, what aggravates me about the Discovery is, like, the design of the ship I don't even hate. Um, it's just the weird shit going on with the ship. Just feels like they're trying too hard. And this ship feels like they are trying the correct amount. Yeah, exactly. The Defiant feels like, you look at it and you go, yeah, this is not an atypical Star Trek ship, but it feels like something Starfleet would make with what we've seen. Which is the problem with the NX. The NX looks like a Federation ship. It just looks like an anachronistic Federation ship. Yeah, which, I mean, kind of going back to it, the Enterprise A, it does absolutely look like an artist was involved in the creation of the Constitution, but not in a bad way. It feels like they made a ship and then they had it dressed up by an artist. And when you're in space, there's no reason not to do that, honestly. But well, and I don't know, the Galaxy almost, I feel like they wanted to make something that looked more utilitarian, and that's why it's a big old chonky ship. The Galaxy is a thick bastard. After that, I feel like every ship they've made, they've almost asked the question of, like, what does this ship do, and how do we make you know that when you see it? Because the Defiant definitely looks like a warship. And the Intrepid definitely looks like a smaller version of like, an exploration cruiser. The NX, I don't know. The problem with the NX is it looks too much like a DS9 Voyager era escort. Yeah, actually, since we're on the discussion of the Odyssey, the bridge on the Odyssey is wild, man. Like, if they ever made an Odyssey in a Star Trek show, I realize how you make, like, I realize how you make sets, but man, the bridge of the Odyssey would just cost a ton. Yeah, and like the interior to the NX, I actually really like. I like the aesthetic of, this is basically this is based on a nuclear submarine. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. You don't have, you're not the Federation that built the Constitution as, like, a literal ship you're gonna fly around, everybody needs to see, and they need to be impressed. Yeah. Um, like I said, the NX's interior, I'm down for. I'm even, from a canon standpoint, I'm even fine with the concept that, like, later ships kind of went back to the concept of the NX as a whole form. And that it is a utilitarian whole form. It is just a saucer section with some pylons and some nacelles. It just, I don't know. They could have probably fixed my problems with the NX by just not greebling the hull as much, if you know what greebling is. Yeah, exactly. As a side note, on just, like, the little, like, off to the side ships that you see in Star Trek, the Steam Runner, I absolutely love. It is, like, my ideal build for an escort. Yeah, so like the whole form to the Enterprise doesn't bug me. It's just they could have fixed it by not greebling the hull so damn much, by making it a little smoother and a little closer to, like, literally just slapped Constitution paint on it. I would have probably been fine with it. Yeah, exactly. Well, and even the Galaxy has, like, greebling, but it's not so bad that, like you were saying, I don't think they have to go out on the hull constantly to fix crap. And I don't know, like, going back to it, just the Discovery, greebling does look cool. I actually will give them that. But you can greeble something too much, damn it. I don't even think the NX is too greeble. I don't think it looks like the ship they would have built at the time, knowing what we know about Star Trek is my problem. The Discovery, if the fucking saucer didn't spin and the nacelles didn't detach, I would be fine with that ship. Or if they had a better explanation for why the saucer spins, because the friggin' mushroom drive is dumb. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that reference. I'm the general and I say I want it. Yeah, no, exactly. That's the problem with Discovery, is like, at its core, it's a fine show, but it's dragged down by all these weird fucking design decisions. If you want to set something in the Klingon Federation War, that's fine, but, like, I want Klingons that we're used to. There's no reason to do that. It's just the through line of oh, okay, no, for another reference we can make. They were so worried with asking if they could, they didn't ask if they should. What am I supposed to do? Oh, remotely detonate. Ah, there we go. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the problem, the only real problem I have with Disco Trek is, like, it's fine sci-fi. It's just not particularly good Star Trek. And Picard kind of has the same problem, maybe to a lesser degree. I'm still not all in on some of the stuff in Picard. But I definitely, I cringed less, is a good way to put it. Did I not make any Oh, I didn't make any engineering plates for this thing. Okay, well, that's fine. Oh, that's a patrol. Okay. Now, we're not doing that. Yeah, but at the same time, like, Trek has always been really good at ignoring itself when it needs to be. Or when it needs to. But, like, the Klingon thing is like my real go-to example in this. Like, there's no commercial reason you needed to make Klingons look different. They looked fine, is kind of the problem I have. The spinning saucer, you know what? I could live with the spinning saucer. Um, the Mushroom Tribe is dumb just because it's... I don't know. I feel like you could have even done that story with something less awkward, is what I'm saying on a lot of cases. I'm fine with a certain amount of weirdness per Star Trek series. But like I feel like Disco was trying too much too quick is his problem. Also the writing's just not there in a lot of places. But I mean, like, I'm also a big proponent that like every thing in a series or a franchise does not have to be better than the thing that came before it. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. So, Yeah, okay, so, and that's a perfectly good point, and, I guess my problem with that as a reason is that Roddenberry did say that, but he also did just point out to a lot of people, like, we made Star Trek on like a shoestring budget. So kind of the way I would always took that, who said they always didn't thing, was like, Roddenberry was basically saying, yeah, we would have made them look more like aliens if we had like two nickels to rub together. So the jump from like TOS to TNG, that's basically what I read all that down to, is like they were always supposed to look like that. They never had the budget to do it, and I respect that as an answer. I even respect Enterprise's attempt to come up with a canon answer. I respect the whole Discovery answer, which is the answer we now get, which is like that the Klingons we see in Discovery are just like an ethnicity of Klingons, but you need to we do not discuss the yes, exactly. And leave it alone. Yeah, I could have done without the explanation in Enterprise for why they have ridges, but it's fine. Is kind of my takeaway. Discovery, the official canon answer now seems to be that like the Klingons we have in Discovery are a certain ethnicity of Klingon, which I'm completely fine with. But then why is like every Klingon we see one of these guys, and why did we see Klingons with ridges both before and after? Yeah, it's like I said, it is 100% they were like, we want to do this and we don't need a reason, which is fine because Klingons exist the way I like him in every other, well, not every other, in other formats, and this did not wipe away that, so I'm fine with it. It's just, that's a criticism I have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because when the first episode of Enterprise like rolls, I am not confused as to why the Klingon you see has ridges. I do not need original Star Trek Klingons right off the bat. Yeah, and I'd be fine if they completely left it. I'm fine with the way they did it, but I'm with you. I would have preferred if they hadn't, if they'd have just left it alone at that little like throwaway joke. I don't need everything in a... I love world building. I don't need everything in a setting explained to me, I guess is what I'm saying. And you're absolutely right that it encourages those people. There's a really interesting... as a side note, I live extremely close to William Shatner's house. Just as like a cute little a side note. But there's a really interesting interview with Shatner at one point where he was talking about the motion picture and how like a lot of them didn't want to do it. Yeah, exactly. 1 second. Oh, okay. Nightbot, calm your ass down. Come on. Yeah, you're fine. But yeah, there's an interview with William Shatner where he was talking about trying to get them to do the animated series, or not the animated series, the motion picture, and nobody really wanted to do it. So how they actually got them to do it was they basically just told them, like, think about the Kirk that you played in the show and just get rid of them and play the Kirk that you wanted to play in in your mind. And that's why we get this really big disconnect of, like, the Kirk in the movies versus... Okay, I'm supposed to be rescuing scientists. Did I forget a scientist? Yeah, I did. That's why you get this real big disconnect between the Kirk in the movie versus the Kirk in the series. So it does come back to that Gene Roddenberry of, like, no, this is always the Kirk we had. Yeah. Movie Kirk is William Shatner, written by like Discount Shakespeare, and I absolutely love both versions, but I really like the movie version better. A really good way to point it out is just like, if I were a Starfleet personnel, I would not want to be on the ship that TV Kirk is commanding. I would absolutely be on a ship that movie Kirk is commanding. Oh, this is the swamp one. All right, cool. Yeah, I was really impressed with this mission when I read it not long ago, where they, like, added the scientist and you get actual like a narrative, and I was like, oh, it's more tricky. Actually, interesting enough, when I was in a class in university, we were um we were going over Oedipus Rex in, like, in a world literature class, and to go over it, we watched a like a live production, like, it was a stage play, but they had just took a movie camera and recorded it, of Oedipus Rex, with William Shatner playing the part of Oedipus, and it was fantastic. And everybody in there was like, William Shatner can act, and I was like, well, yeah, of course he can. The same can largely be said with Leonard Nimoy too, because, like, the movie Spock is way more the movie Spock is a bro, is a really good way to put it. TV Spock, man, he needs to calm down. He needs to relax. And Bones is Bones in both versions, which I deeply appreciate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Disco Spock had a stick up his ass, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's That is the correct arc for Spock, damn it. I don't know, and like I said, I feel like that's almost the arc for like Spock, or not Spock's, Spock's Vulcans as a characterization. Is that when we first get them, they are this really stick up their ass race, and they've kind of just slowly introduced the concept over time that like Vulcans are not a monolith. Despite the fact that I think that was what we were supposed to take from it at first, is that they are kind of a monolith. Going back to that whole discussion about that, like the power trio, like Spock, Kirk, yeah, okay, so the Burnham thing, the Burnham thing, that didn't bother me because, yeah, you just pegged it. Like, Spock doesn't tell you shit about his family, and you know, Kirk is his best friend, and he consistently doesn't do that. So that doesn't bother me at all. It's just, I don't want to say I don't like the character. I don't like the writing for the character. I do like the character. Again, it's just there's consistent little problems with the writings in that show, and yeah, 100% on point, exactly. I okay, so I don't necessarily like that phrasing, but yes, absolutely. Um, I like the idea that Sarek would raise a human, and if that human showed some interest in kind of doing something strange for a human, that he'd be down for it, I guess, is a good way to put it. Because I feel like the phrasing of it as an experiment is almost like, I feel like Sarek would have a bit more respect for a human as an individual, but if they were like, oh, I'd like to do this, he'd be like, oh, absolutely, let's do this. Well, and even Undiscovered Country kind of plays with that, where like he's just like, yeah, I have a half brother. Yeah, yeah. Well, and then once you get into Next Generation too, they start to play around with Sarek as a character, where they keep giving you little what is this? Introduce Starship Pulver. Yeah, okay, that's crap, but I'll put it in there for now. Where they keep giving you these little peeks into Sarek as a character, where they give you that entire concept that like some Vulcans are logical but don't just shit on the concept of being of acknowledging that you have emotions and being okay with them. There is that the whole episode in the thing where he just tells, I don't think it's TNG, it might be actually, where you know he tells Spock the reason he married his mother was because he loved her, you know, completely acknowledging that that's a like valid point for a Vulcan. It's just, you're not supposed to let emotions control you, which yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then you also just have the asshole Vulcans, and then just again, Vulcans aren't a monolith. Is what I take from this. And then you have Enterprise, where they just have like large or like portions of the Vulcan population who are truly like not even really in on the logic thing and are just playing lip service to it, which I appreciate again. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, actually, that's a good point on the whole. And again, I am not trying to just make this into like the let's shit on Discovery stream. Um, but one of the things that kept striking me while watching Discovery was this whole concept of I don't think that the creators either completely understand the concept of Starfleet or kind of think it's dumb. Um, because what really sets Star Trek as a concept apart. Oh, I am not doing Doomsday Device. 1 second. Nope. 1 second episode. Okay, we can do Impracila though. Well, we're gonna skip some of these to pick them up. Well, what level am I? 1 second. 7. Okay. One of the things like desperate measures. Sure. But what really sets Star Trek apart for me from like other science fictions is this whole concept of like Starfleet as 1 second. Which one of these is the Vault? Is the one in the that's in the shuttle, which I'm not doing. What do you get for that? All right, the Scorpion fighter thing, right? Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. Is humanity actually being like having done it come out better and this actually being like a bright future because the Federation managed to curve humanity's like shitty tendencies. Yeah, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I was pretty old when I joined the army, actually. But but yeah, it's like the Federation deciding to not be shitty is part of what sets it apart, and the future being like really optimistic is kind of what I dig about a lot of Star Trek. Discovery kind of actually makes fun of this concept a lot. Where they're like, that's gonna get us killed. Well, okay, but that's not like the message of Star Trek for the most part. The message of Star Trek is that if you all band together, you can do stuff. Not if you are nice, you get killed. So I don't know. Like I said, it does feel sometimes like the show just doesn't particularly respect other parts of Star Trek. Which, I mean, hell, DS9 really played with that concept of, like, playing nice might get you killed, too. But did it in a much better way. We're not doing these yet. Sorry, lady. That one episode where, Quark just blows up the Romulan ambassador. So it's really quite good. Yeah, exactly. Because and you know, I understand why to a large degree. A ton of science fiction really leans into just the concept of, like, shit's gonna get real bad in the future, which Star Trek does, but they also say, like, hey, we got past it and things are better now. Star Trek is really unique in that it has this really optimistic outlook on humanity in the future, and Trek just does not seem interested, or Discovery just does not seem interested. And kind of gives, like, an explanation for it. It's not a particularly good explanation, in my opinion. Yeah, and DS9 did it really well, is the thing. Um, because Cisco really does seem to, yeah, basically. Which, unfortunately, because I think we needed something really optimistic at the time. But yeah. Yeah, which, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I can only speak for myself, but the thing is like, I'm a scientist by trade. And despite being a really, like, skeptical, sarcastic, kind of grouchy person in a lot of ways, I'm also a huge optimist for, like, the prospects of humanity. So I don't know. I dig a show that's both unique because it's optimistic, and that is willing to be optimistic but test it. And yeah, New Trek just doesn't seem particularly interested, and I get that, but at the same time, I think there is a market for it, and I think there's a market for it just because nobody else is doing it. I don't even think it's niche. I think a lot more people would be interested in it than they think there would be. I mean, case in point, I know a lot of people who have just kind of came into Star Trek as a show and have started watching TNG and are really, like, really into it. And now, I mean, like, a lot of that probably is just the whole thing of, like, TNG is basically the Picard and Data show. I feel like they never nailed the power triangle after the first show. They always kept trying. Yeah, and again, from what we know about Strange New Worlds, that seems to be what they're thinking about doing / planning on doing, and I hope it actually works and they stick to it. Where am I supposed to be going? Okay. Yeah. I will say this, like, I legitimately like a lot of the characters from Discovery. Um, I'd probably like them better in a in a show that calmed it down a bit. Oh, now I need to question the miners. Okay. Um, I also agree with a lot of people who kind of contest that Tilly got more like attention than the show really needed her to. Not in like a negative way, but like in a people complained about it too much way. For just like dumb reasons. Yeah. But that's a lot of the show though. So I love the Doctor though. Like he's probably one of my favorite characters on the show. Yeah, pretty much. Because that's a good way to put it. Like, Tilly is the lowest effort thing you can is the lowest effort character you can complain about without just stepping in a real like cultural discussion. Pertaining back to the Doctor there. Yeah. So. And I don't know that's a good indication of when I'm like not gonna be interested in talking with a person either. When they pick the lowest effort target too. So okay, yeah, back to this. I I agree, but I am deeply offended at your besmirchment of Statler and Warlord in this comparison. It's actually my favorite Muppets. Because Statler and Waldorf have class. That's why. Yeah, yeah, and this goes back to the whole thing is I love Tilly as a character. I just don't necessarily like how the show handles her sometimes. I don't know. One of my like legitimate like just it's a me problems with um yeah, at least Styler and Waldorf were funny, exactly. And on top of it, the reason I feel like they're funny is because when you watch them, it becomes clear very quickly that they're basically just having fun. Most of the people who bitch about things on the internet, they're not having fun. Um, like like I said, I think one of the me problems with Discovery as a show is just that yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, is that in almost all the other Star Trek shows, there are one or two people that I really like, and the show tends to know who you like. In the original series, it's Kirk and Spock, and I really like the rest of the crew. Bones not as much as some people, but I respect the guy. Um, in the Next Generation, Picard and Data, in DS9. DS9's actually all over the place. I like most of the cast a lot. Um, but oddly enough, like Miles and Garrick are fantastic. Yeah, yeah. One of the reasons I think that DS9 is like I've never met anybody that doesn't like DS9, but I've met a bunch of people who don't like it as much as I do, is because I don't think they were quite as good at triangulating. But like everybody on that cast is really good at times. TNG, like, there's a lot of characters who I really like who aren't up there with Picard and Data. Like, Geordi is really good. Will has his moments. Some people just like are just kind of there, and I like them, but they never get a lot of like stuff. I like. What am I supposed to be doing to this guy? This is optional. Okay, we're just gonna ignore you for a second. Um, I feel like the consistent problem with Voyager was that they only had two people that I really liked. Like the captain and Tuvok were fantastic. Um, and like I liked some of the other cast members. The oh no, actually, I might actually make an argument for there being a trifecta um in Voyager because of the Doctor later on, but they take a while to get there. I don't feel like TNG. Huh, interesting. I might actually look that up. That probably is pretty interesting. But TNG never quite hit that like three people moment. Okay, wait. I remember. Uh, uh, eh, eh, Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Or not. Okay, there we go. Hey. Hey. Oh. There, that's what I was trying to do. Um... Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess that's interesting. I might actually look that up at some point. Hmm. Do 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 do. Um, it's becoming a real problem. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I only have one officer, but yeah. Here in a second, I need to go help my friends move a bunch of boxes. And I have actually been at this a good 3 and almost 4 hours. I also need to go eat soon. I've been trying to actually stream a bit more than I have lately. I took a pretty sizable break. Because of school and jobs and actually having COVID. Um, but yeah, enjoying it a lot as of late. Yeah. Wait, fine. Oh, I need to pay attention to this actually for a second. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Oh wait, okay. Oh, there are ones down here too. Let's Starfleet logs. Never mind. Excuse me. I had actually been trying to stream it, but I actually had just a problem where, um, the game absolutely refused to broadcast to OBS correctly, so everything was super dark. Um, no matter what I would do, I actually basically had to download what's it called? The Twitch beta program. I'm literally I can't concentrate right here to finish this episode. I'm actually gonna hop off right now because they do actually need me to help move these boxes before one of them drops on their full heads. Um, but thank you for sitting around chatting with me and following. I'll be around as much as I can. Try not to take big old breaks off Steam. Um, so yeah, have a good one, and I'll talk to you later.